In the winter of 2011, I was able to sit down with Bill Hudson and Bob Waters and Neil Johnson. Bill Hudson and Bob Waters are original members of the Oak Orchard Snipe Fleet, number 100. Neil Johnson is the historian of Albion. They shared much of their memories about snipe racing and the area around Oak Orchard Creek. Here's their interview.
2 years ago, the last day of January, this guy calls up and he says, I got your old sailboat. Woo! I says, if it says 7380 carved in the keel, that's it. Yeah, it says that's it. Okay. Now he's going to sail it in June. He's going to tell me all about how things go. However, that was 2 years ago. I haven't heard from him since.
It's like several Junes ago.
All I know, the guy told me he was in Connecticut. Somebody said, why didn't you get his number? I said, well, I was so surprised to hear about that boat that disappeared probably 40, 50, 60 years ago almost.
I bet you could call the Snipe group now and find out who he is.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I've got all their numbers in California, so I've talked with them myself out there. That's the book. Did you build your boat, Bill?
No, Emmons built it. This guy, he had to sign up for him. He was kind of a one-horse builder. But he was well known because his boats usually finished pretty good. They were good sailors. But he was in Central Square, New York. It's way down around.
I remember that name,
Yeah,
Central
Oneida
Square.
Lake.
They both came
Sure,
there.
I had that boat built in 49.
Okay.
Did you drive down, pick it up?
Went down there and trailed it back. Was it you get into the point where we put those snipes on haul out so the grass wouldn't grow on the bottom of them and slow them down?
No, we haven't talked about that. We just been
Now,
looking at
that
pictures.
was Ed Archibald. Let
Ed
us
Archibald.
use his driveway, let us use the land, and we used the old washing machine rollers. They work like magic.
Washing machine from
Sure.
the ringer? From the ringer?
The old
Sure.
ringers. Right. You set it up in the contours of the
Just roll it
bottom
right.
of
It
the
had a
boat.
winch at the top.
Roll it right up. Then you put a hole in this transom.
Uh-huh.
That was to let the water out. Then you corked it up, and if you went out and forgot about it, like you were sailing at night, you forgot to put the cork in, that was a big mistake.
You notice it eventually, right?
Sure. Just north of the boathouses aren't there anymore. I used to keep the static in that one.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We used to play ball. We used to play baseball on his lawn. He had the only clay tennis court, I guess, going around here. Boy, we all played tennis. One time there was a heck of a storm, and we had the regatta, but we couldn't do it too rough. So Ed Archibald engineers a tiddlywink contest. Now, tiddlywinks, you think that's kind of, wow, he put so much interest in it. He ran the whole thing
Where did you hold it? In the house?
in the house. Yeah. Oh, gee, it was
sounds like
lousy weather. We couldn't get out.
Well, I kept a friendship with him right up until he died, and we used to come over to the Barbary Coast and have dinner together. And he was just a great guy for conversation because he knew so many things. He was into everything, the hospital, the Boy Scouts, anything you could think of. Town Club, United Way, he was always involved. So, but how I got into it, this is
Okay, that's
great.
Brownie's boat.
When I came,
That's not.
Well, that's
sorry,
Brownie's
different picture.
excursion boat.
Behind there, yeah, behind there, yeah.
But this boat here, when I came home, a couple of my friends had sailboats. Not snipes, but sailboats.
Came home from...
I came home from college and started to go to work
From Medina, probably.
with my dad, yeah. And I saw on the market this boat, which was hand-built by Gene Bacon, who was a member of the National Guard staff up in the Armory in Medina, and he had nothing to do. He wanted to build a boat. This boat probably weighed 4 times as much as any snipe that was ever built in the United States, because it was not only it was a great boat to go out and have fun
It was
with.
well engineered, as they say. Right?
But I would never have tried to race that boat. It would have been in Elcott before it ever got to the home base. It was heavy. It was built to withstand a hurricane, I think. And that was my first night. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that if I was going to join the racing crowd down there, I better get a lighter boat. So young Hoot had the snafu for sale, and that's when I finally got a respectable snipe. This I always think of in memory because it was such a heavy old thing that I had to anchor out in the middle of it.
You didn't buy it just because of the name, Snafu.
Snafu? No, I just inherited the name, which was fine. I had been in the army. I knew what snafu was all about, so it didn't bother me a bit. So I got that big heavy old thing and traded that for the hoot boat. And I often wonder if snafu is still around anywhere.
You gotta wonder.
I don't know.
I wonder whether you could trace it by name. The number, obviously, you say. But I
Somebody
wonder
still
if you
registered the number. We
Yeah.
can find out if it's
Hey, Mike.
still out there.
Do you know the number of it? Do you have
Yeah.
it someplace?
Yeah, 3458, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's on one of those pictures.
not a
Right, the
picture
picture.
of it.
Okay, 3458. Okay.
Now, when the Snipe fleet started, was it right at the same time the Oak Orchard Yacht Club started? Or the club started at the same
I really don't know, because when I appeared on the scene, that Luann was a black boat and it was good size and was always there. And the Vagabond was too.
Bill, let me tell you what Dick Eddy told me yesterday and see if it jibes. Dick said that he came down here with his folks in the 30s and started sailing with people, and but the yacht club didn't come along probably until maybe the late 30s or early 40s when they started meeting at the Black North, what is now the Black North.
Yeah, they had a room in the Black
They
North.
had a room there, and then gradually they built a small clubhouse down by the channel. Remember, west
yeah.
of the hotel, and I remember that.
Yeah, I helped on that clubhouse. I remember they put a big stone fireplace in. We had to go to Halberton and get the stone. I remember doing that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Halberton had a quarry over there?
Yeah, that
Yes,
quarry,
that was where the
that's where the
sandstone
stone
quarry,
came
a
from.
lot of them were.
How'd you haul them down? Would it be by truck?
But I don't know who was the mason. We just did all the stuff.
Who was the mason?
I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
As far as snipes were concerned, Bill, you were a member of the club, right?
Yeah.
To be a snipe racer, you had to be
Yeah,
a
we
club
were
member.
the sniper. We were just an
I'm not
army.
sure about
Yeah.
What was it like to get in the club? Was it an easy to just at that time? Was it just
Probably cost you $1 a year or
a
something.
dollar a year?
Well, I think to set that straight, Kyle, I think you could be a fleet member and race without being a dues-paying yacht club member, because there were a couple of fellows from Rochester that used to come down.
Oh, Charlie Webster, that's right.
Sure.
That guy was from Rochester, and all I know is his name. I don't even know the name
They'd,
of the
they'd
boat.
show up on Sunday and race.
But he won a lot of races.
Yeah.
And he's in here, too, one of those clippings. Yeah.
Now, would he be a member of another club that was given rights to race
But
with
he
your clubs,
used
you
to
think?
like to come down. Okay, and there's a guy by the name of Hannah that used to come down. I read his name in the paper
Yeah,
every once in a while. He's
yeah.
a politician down there.
The Jack Hanna?
It could be Jed Hannah. I don't know. There were two of them.
I'm not sure.
I think before then. There's something.
But I think you could. We all just got together and raced on an
Sounds like-
informal basis. I don't think you had to be a yacht
It's
club
not like you just show up with your boat. You
Yeah.
join the guys and put your boat in the water.
if you wanted to be identified.
People like that would go out and give you the starting line, and then I don't know who the heck set the course up. He must have helped
Well,
with that.
Stan Landauer had a cruiser down there. It's one of those that I.
Oh, Stan, he was a pal. One time I had Stan. It was real heavy weather, and I needed weight. So I got Stan. Now, I'll be doggone if he doesn't proceed to almost fall off. I got that super strength to haul that guy back because he must have weighed twice as much. I got him back.
Well, there's a boat called OG that's in that.
Yeah, that was mentioned too. That must have come
Oh,
along
gee,
later.
that was Laskowski's boat.
Oh, was it?
That was the boat that came after the Venture.
After the venture, okay.
Did he have as much success with OG? Was it,
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
he seemed like he was pretty.
Pretty good
Pretty good
sailor.
sailor.
I think he was. He was the captain of the fleet for a while.
Now, how about the Fitzpatrick Trophy? Who was Ed Fitzpatrick?
Well, I never knew Ed Fitzpatrick, but he he created this race where you had to get out there with your sails down and put them up.
Oh, that was
That
yeah.
was it.
I've heard
It
tales
was
of that.
all sailed on Labor Day, and a lot of times the weather was lousy.
So you got as close as you could to the starting line with your sails down.
Yep.
Then you fire the gun.
Yep.
You raise your sails and you're off.
Pulled up the sails.
Was that make for an interesting start?
Very.
Oh,
There's
sure.
lot of
one of
drifting.
those articles. It's all
I
about
finally
that.
remembered this.
Oh, thanks.
Every
What,
boat
milk, sugar,
disappeared
and-
but one.
That's
Well, you know, talking about Labor Day weekend, now, the one in my recollection, in the early 50s, I had one hell of a storm down there, Bill. And that was when I was glad I had a slightly heavier boat, because I had a gal crewing for me that was like a cat. She was all over that boat wherever I needed
Oh, that's good.
her to be. She knew instinctively, and I got in, and everybody else was being towed because they either capsized or lost control somehow or other, and everybody was being rescued, and I managed. It's the one thing I'm glad about. I managed to get back into the haulouts.
How treacherous was the harbor entrance back then? I know it was pretty much.
Hey, that's another thing. The old piers were still there, and you had to be careful. After
Yeah.
a while, you went out when the weather was decent. You looked down there, and you found out where you could get through. We helped a lot of boats come in there, even though they had the lights way up. If you lined up on those lights and you were a strange boat coming in, you were all right. But some of these guys,
Bill, how did snipe racing kind of come to an end? You know, were you there at the end when it kind of petered out and stopped?
no, we ended because the kids got so big they didn't fit on the boat anymore. I mean, we like to take it out for an afternoon or something, and then that's how come I left. And then we were involved with that cottage, and we had a house up here, and it was kind of hard to keep everything going. So we sold out our share of the cottage to Gardner and sold the boat. And that's how come I left.
Things got more complicated, I think. Life today is not as relaxed as it was in the 50s or the 30s or whatever. Those were just times when people seemed to have the hours to devote to things like this.
Well, hey, I gotta take off.
Okay, great.
Well, Bill, it's nice to
very
see you
much.
again.
Great getting you here. That's helpful. I love the stuff you brought.
When I do this bit on Ed Archibald, if I need some extra memories, I'll call you. You're available by phone, I know.
All right,
so-
yeah, I'll be there.
but
Bill,
I'll-
thank you. Thank you
Well,
very much.
hey, good meeting you.
Good meeting you.
My gosh, another war.
Yeah. Well, he's masquerading under a different name. but he's still a
it's
more.
still more. Yeah. It's,